A Stanford research paper has just shed light on another covert social media influence operation that could be linked to India. This time, it's on Twitter. The last time such a thing came to light was 2 years ago when the EU Disinfo lab unearthed a massive campaign to discredit nations against India. Any guesses as to what those countries were? Now, researchers of the Stanford Internet Observatory have found that a 1,200 account strong network was actively praising the Indian Army's activities in occupied Kashmir and peddled narratives that were anti-Pakistan and anti-China. The researchers say the network, which was taken down by Twitter in March, could be linked to the Chinar Corps, a branch of the Indian Army that operates in occupied Kashmir. It also notes that the content of the network was consistent with the objectives of the Chinar Corps, as it tried to play up the Indian Army's activities in occupied Kashmir and, unsurprisingly, bashed Pakistan and China. Also noteworthy is that the official account of the Corps was the 7th most mentioned or retweeted account on the network. So, how did it operate? The network tweeted mostly in English, but also in Hindi and Urdu. The accounts in the network claimed to be relatives of Indian soldiers and proud Kashmiris, and their bios frequently portrayed their locations to be in held Kashmir. One bio said, quote, "Proud Indian and proud Kashmiri, my heart belongs to Kashmir, soul to India and life to humanity." The accounts often use profile photos retrieved from the internet, commonly using stock images like this one, which uses a Getty stock image. 2 accounts existed to target specific individuals who were perceived as enemies of the Indian government, and popular hashtags were related to Kashmir and the Indian and Pakistani militaries. The suspended network's tweets tagged both authentic and suspended accounts, including regional journalists, politicians from Balochistan, and Indian politicians. The study says, quote, "Tweets tagging journalists aimed either to bring events to the attention of reporters or to bring the reporter to the attention of followers, often in an apparent attempt to target the reporter for what was framed as anti-India content." The accounts and an accompanying YouTube channel targeted specific individuals, focusing on who they deemed were anti-India journalists, calling reporters hashtag white-collar terrorist, and accusing them of working to corrupt the minds of Kashmiris. Those reporters, the study says, were also accused of taking money from Pakistan. The accounts targeted specific personalities like American activist and author Peter Friedrich, who is critical of the Indian government and Hindutva, and Fahad Shah, a currently incarcerated Kashmiri journalist who has also been critical of the conditions in the held territory. Dozens of accounts in the network mentioned or retweeted Kamaljeet Singh Dhillon, a former Chinar Corps commander who was mentioned or retweeted more than 1,000 times. So, what were their narratives? The narratives were patently anti-Pakistan and anti-China, and the report provides examples of how the network approached those narratives. They highlighted protests in Pakistan with a particular focus on Balochistan. The report adds, quote, "Accounts accused Pakistan of spreading unfounded claims of Indian Army atrocities, and they accused Pakistani soldiers of committing human rights abuses and protecting terrorists. Tweets claimed Pakistan was not safe for Hindus nor Muslims, and that Pakistan abandoned Pakistani citizens in China when the COVID-19 pandemic began." With regard to the anti-China narrative, the report highlighted how the network tried to portray the Indian military's supposed dominance over the Chinese military. Quote, "Indian soldiers are courageous while Chinese soldiers easily surrendered. Indian soldiers were referred to as bravehearts, and soldiers killed in clashes with China were called heroes and martyrs. Any failed attacks on India's part were due to unethical Chinese strategies, according to the network." End quote. The authors conclude by saying, quote, "Our report only scratches the surface," end quote, and calls upon researchers to further dig into the network. It also urges researchers with expertise in India and Pakistan to look into the 2 Twitter accounts that they highlighted in the study.